Zira Naxthul yawned and stretched her forearms as she stared at the radar screen. The small green dots moved in their usual patterns. Nothing new, nothing interesting. Just another boring night shift at Outpost 7, the most remote Vexarian station in this part of space. Her violet skin glowed softly in the dim light of the monitoring room. She was alone again tonight. The other science officers preferred the day shifts when Commander Dreth was around to notice their work. Zira didn't mind the solitude. It gave her time to think about the old stories. Humans, she whispered to herself. The word felt strange on her tongue. According to her grandmother's tales, humans were bizarre creatures with only 2 arms and no natural defenses. They couldn't breathe underwater or survive extreme temperatures without special equipment. They had no telepathic abilities at all. Yet somehow, the stories claimed, these fragile beings had once traveled among the stars and held their own against far more advanced species. Most Vexarians laughed at such tales. Commander Dreth called them nursery stories to frighten young ones into obedience. But Zira's grandmother had insisted they were real. The records were altered, she would whisper, her skin dimming with age and secrecy. I saw proof when I was young. Humans existed. Zira sighed and reached for her cup of warm jala, a bitter drink that helped keep her alert during the long night hours. As she took a sip, her eyes drifted back to the radar screen. Something new had appeared. A small blip on the edge of the long-range scanner. She sat up straight, setting down her cup. Computer, identify object in sector 9 to 47, she said. The computer hummed. Unknown vessel. Configuration does not match any known species in database. Zira's hearts beat faster, all 4 of them. She adjusted the scanner settings, trying to get more data. Computer, analyze composition and technology level. More humming. Vessel uses propulsion system of unknown design. Energy signature suggests advanced technology. Hull material contains elements not commonly used in known shipbuilding techniques. Zira's skin began to glow brighter with excitement. She had to report this immediately. She pressed the communication button. Officer Naxthul to Commander Dreth. Sir, I've detected an anomalous vessel on the long-range scanners. A long pause followed before the commander's gruff voice responded. Naxthul, do you know what time it is? This had better be important. It is, sir. The vessel doesn't match anything in our database. Its technology is unlike anything we've seen before. She heard Dreth sigh heavily. It's probably just a sensor malfunction. You know how old the equipment is at this outpost. Recalibrate the system and scan again. But sir, I've already. That's an order. Officer Naxthul. Recalibrate and report back only if the anomaly persists. And next time, check your systems before waking your commanding officer. The communication clicked off. Zira's glow dimmed with frustration. She looked back at the blip on the screen. It was still there, moving slowly but steadily through Vexarian space. Computer, save all data on unknown vessel to my personal research file. Warning: personal research files are subject to review by command staff. Override. Authorization Naxthul 7 to 93. Data saved. Zira stared at the blip, her mind racing. What if this was it? What if the stories were true? What if humans weren't myths after all? Her shift would end in 3 hours. After that, she would have 16 hours before her next shift. 16 hours to do some research, to look through the historical archives, to find any connections between this strange ship and the old tales. She leaned closer to the screen, watching the slow movement of the mysterious vessel. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. Remember, little one, just because something becomes a myth doesn't mean it wasn't once real. Zira made a decision. She would find out what this ship was, even if Commander Dreth wouldn't help, even if she had to do it alone. The blip continued its steady path across her radar screen, like a whisper from the past reaching out to her. And for the first time in years, Zira felt something more powerful than curiosity. Hope. Zira spent her free hours in the station's archives, a small room filled with old data crystals that few Vexarians bothered to visit anymore. The soft blue glow from the crystal readers cast shadows on her violet skin as she searched through historical records. Access files containing references to species classified as mythological. She instructed the archive system. The system hummed, then displayed a list of various creatures. Zira scrolled until she found it. Humans. Classification. Mythological bipeds from unverified origin. She tapped on the file. The information was sparse, just a few paragraphs and some blurry images. According to the official records, humans were fictional creatures invented to explain strange occurrences in space. But something caught her eye. A note at the bottom of the file. See Restricted File H7924 for additional data. Restricted files required higher clearance. Zira bit her lower lip, thinking. She wasn't supposed to access those files, but she needed to know. Computer. Access Restricted File H7924. Authorization. Medical Research Protocol. Xenobiology Division. She held her breath. Using the medical research code was risky. If caught, she could claim she was investigating potential biological hazards, but it was still bending the rules. Access granted. Limited view only. The screen filled with information, much more detailed than the public file. There were reports of encounters from 2,000 years ago. Sketches showing beings with 2 arms, 2 legs, and rounded heads without sensory tentacles. Notes about their unusual biology and technology. And most importantly, coordinates of their last known territory before contact was lost. Zira's heart raced as she cross-referenced those coordinates with the trajectory of the mystery ship she had detected. The unknown vessel was coming from that exact region of space. Copy all files to my personal data pad, she whispered. Warning. Copying restricted files is a violation of. Override. Emergency Research Protocol. Time sensitive. The computer hesitated, then complied. Transfer complete. Zira quickly closed the files and left the archives. Back in her small quarters, she studied everything she had gathered. The more she read, the more convinced she became that the ship on her radar was indeed human. But she needed proof. When her next shift started, she returned to the monitoring station with new purpose. The mysterious blip was still there, moving slowly across the edge of Vexarian space. She adjusted the scanners to gather more specific data about the ship's energy signature. Officer Naxthul, what are you doing? Zira jumped. Commander Dreth stood behind her, his orange skin darkening with suspicion. Sir, I'm running detailed scans on that anomaly I reported yesterday. I thought I told you to recalibrate the sensors and forget about it. I did recalibrate, sir. The object is still there. I believe it might be important. Dreth moved closer, looking at her screen. It's probably just an asteroid with unusual mineral composition. Nothing worth wasting time on. But, sir, its movement is too regular for an asteroid, and the energy readings suggest an advanced propulsion system. Enough, Officer Naxthul. Your obsession with anomalies is disrupting normal operations. I'm assigning you to maintenance duty for the next 3 cycles. Officer Vex will take over monitoring. But, sir, that's final. After Dreth left, Zira sat quietly, thinking. Maintenance duty would keep her away from the scanners. By the time she returned, the ship might be gone. She couldn't let that happen. She made a decision. There was a small scout vessel on the station used for short-range missions. As a science officer, she had basic flight training. If she couldn't track the ship from the station, she would have to get closer to it. During her maintenance shift, Zira quietly gathered supplies. A few food packets, water, her data pad with the copied files. When the night cycle began and most of the station staff were sleeping, she made her way to the docking bay. The scout ship was small but fast. She could catch up to the mystery vessel in under a day if she pushed the engines. She would finally have proof that humans weren't myths. As she prepared the launch sequence, Zira knew she was crossing a line. Stealing a scout ship meant the end of her career, possibly even criminal charges, but some discoveries were worth the risk. Sometimes to find the truth, her grandmother used to say, you must travel beyond permitted boundaries. The scout ship's engines hummed to life, and Zira set course for the unknown vessel. Captain Olivia Martinez studied the radar screen on the bridge of the U.S. horizon. The small alien craft had been following them for the past 6 hours. She brushed her short brown hair from her eyes and turned to her communications officer. Alan, any response to our hailing signals? Alan Reyes shook his head. His fingers moved quickly over the communication panel. Nothing yet, Captain. The craft is definitely tracking us, but they're not answering our calls. The bridge of the horizon was quiet except for the soft beeping of equipment. The ship was on a deep space mapping mission. The farthest humans had ventured in this direction. They hadn't expected to encounter any alien species in this region. What do we know about them? Olivia asked, turning to her science officer. Diane Carpenter looked up from her station. Not much, Captain. The vessel is small, likely a 1- or 2-person craft. Their technology seems advanced, but different from ours. I can't match it to any species we've encountered before. Frank Donahue, the security chief, stepped forward. His large frame cast a shadow across the radar screen. Captain, I recommend we raise shields. The last time we made first contact without proper caution, we nearly lost the ship. Olivia nodded, remembering the disastrous encounter with the Krell species 3 years ago. Agreed. Raise shields, but keep weapons powered down. We don't want to appear hostile. Captain, Alan called suddenly. I'm receiving a transmission. It's strange. Not like any language I've heard before. Put it through, Olivia ordered. A series of musical chirps and clicks filled the bridge. The crew looked at each other in confusion. Computer, begin translation protocols, Olivia said. Working, the computer responded. Language contains elements similar to the Andorian dialect family. Building translation matrix. Diane looked excited. Captain, if their language has similarities to Andorian, they might be from this sector originally. The Andorians mentioned other species in their historical records. The alien craft was now visible on the main screen, a sleek purple vessel with what looked like 4 wing-like projections. It was beautiful, but clearly built for speed rather than combat. Captain, the computer announced, preliminary translation established. Audio only. Open a channel, Olivia said, straightening her uniform. First contact situations defined careers. She needed to be careful. This is Captain Olivia Martinez of the Earth exploration vessel U.S. Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly communication. There was a long pause before a voice responded, the translator making it sound slightly mechanical. This cannot be. You are human. Humans are real. Olivia looked at her crew in surprise. Yes, we are human. Who am I speaking with? Another pause. I am Science Officer Zira Naxthul of Vexarian Outpost 7. I didn't believe I would find you. The stories were true. Frank leaned closer to Olivia. Captain, they know about us, he whispered. Olivia was equally confused. Officer Naxthul, you seem to know about humans. Have our species met before? Long ago, came the reply. Before I was born. Before my grandmother was born. Humans are. Stories we tell children. Myths. Not real beings. Diane moved to the captain's side. This is fascinating. They have legends about us, but thought we were extinct or fictional. Olivia nodded. Officer Naxthul, we assure you we are very real. Would you be willing to dock with our vessel so we can meet properly? The long silence that followed told Olivia that the alien was afraid. Finally, Zira's voice came through again. My vessel's power systems are becoming unstable from the long journey. I have no choice but to accept. But I must warn you, Captain Martinez, if you harm me, the Vexarian fleet will come looking for me. We understand, Olivia said calmly. "We promise no harm will come to you. We're scientists and explorers, just like you seem to be." As the small purple craft began its approach to the Horizon's docking bay, Olivia turned to her crew. "Prepare for first contact procedures. Let's make history, people." None of them realized that at that very moment, Commander Dreth was reporting Zira's unauthorized departure to Vexarian Central Command, setting in motion events that would test this fragile first contact between species. Zira's hands trembled as she guided her small scout ship toward the human vessel. The U.S. Horizon was much larger than she had expected, at least 20 times the size of her craft. Its design was strange to her eyes, blocky in some places, curved in others, with glowing blue engines that pulsed with an unfamiliar energy. "You are cleared for docking in Bay 3, came the translated voice of Alan Reyes. "Our computer will guide you in. Please follow the green lights." A series of green lights appeared, marking a path to an opening on the side of the massive ship. Zira swallowed hard and followed them. Her grandmother's stories had described humans as dangerous and unpredictable. What if this was a trap? But her scout ship's power levels were dropping faster than expected. The long-range pursuit had drained her reserves. If she tried to turn back now, she might end up drifting helplessly in space. "I'm following your lights," she responded, trying to keep her voice steady. As her ship entered the docking bay, Zira gasped. The inside of the human vessel was brightly lit, unlike the dim, comforting glow of Vexarian ships. Several figures stood waiting, watching her ship land. Humans. Actual humans. Her craft settled onto the deck with a soft thud. The docking clamps engaged automatically. Zira checked her atmospheric readings. The air outside was breathable for her species, though the oxygen levels were slightly higher than she was used to. She took several deep breaths to calm herself, then opened the hatch. Captain Olivia Martinez stood at the front of the small welcoming party. Beside her were Diane Carpenter, Frank Donahue, and ship's doctor Maria Sandoval. They all tried to hide their surprise as they got their first look at a Vexarian. Zira stood about 5 feet tall, with violet skin that seemed to glow faintly. She had 4 arms, each ending in 6-fingered hands. Her face featured large, completely black eyes, a small nose-like organ, and a mouth that seemed slightly too wide for human proportions. Instead of hair, she had what looked like thin, soft tentacles that moved slightly on their own. "Welcome aboard the U.S. Horizon," Olivia said, stepping forward with a careful smile. "I'm Captain Martinez." The translator device in Olivia's hand converted her words into musical chirps and clicks. Zira tilted her head, listening carefully. "Your translation device is inaccurate," Zira responded, her words coming through the human's translators with an electronic tone. "Some concepts are not converting properly." Diane moved forward, holding up a more advanced device. "May I scan your language patterns? It might help improve the translation." Zira hesitated, then nodded. The scanner hummed softly as it passed over her. "Amazing," Diane murmured. "Your language uses harmonic overtones that our standard translators aren't designed to catch. Let me adjust." After several minutes of work, the translations became clearer. Zira's tense posture relaxed slightly. "You really are humans," she said, her black eyes fixed on Olivia. "In our stories, you were monsters or spirits. Some tales said you could survive injuries that would kill any normal being. Others said you could adapt to any environment given enough time." Frank's expression darkened. "We're not monsters." "What Frank means," Diane quickly added, "is that we're just another species trying to explore and understand the galaxy, like you." Zira's tentacle-like hair moved more rapidly, which the humans later learned indicated excitement or stress. "But you disappeared," she said. "The stories say humans vanished from known space thousands of years ago. Where did you go?" Olivia gestured toward a doorway. "Perhaps we should move to our conference room. We have much to discuss, and you must have many questions." "As do we." As they walked through the corridors of the Horizon, Zira noticed the humans watching her with the same curiosity she felt toward them. She couldn't believe she was walking among creatures from her grandmother's tales. Every step felt surreal. What she didn't know was that at that very moment, a Vexarian military vessel was changing course, heading directly toward the horizon's position. Commander Dreth had convinced Central Command that Zira had been kidnapped by unknown hostiles. A rescue mission was underway, one that could easily become a military confrontation if handled poorly. The conference room of the U.S. Horizon was simple but comfortable. A long table with chairs surrounded it, and large screens covered one wall. Zira sat on one side, facing Captain Martinez and her crew. The lighting had been dimmed slightly to accommodate Zira's sensitive eyes. "Would you like some water?" asked Maria Sandoval, the ship's doctor. She held out a clear container. Zira examined it carefully before accepting. "Thank you. Our bodies require more water than yours, according to our old stories." "Those stories seem to know a lot about us," Olivia said. "We're curious how your people came to know humans, while we have no records of Vexarians." Zira took a small sip of water. "The stories say that humans visited our worlds over 2,000 years ago. There was trade, cultural exchange. But then a great conflict happened, and humans disappeared. Many believed you had gone extinct." Diane leaned forward, excited. 2,000 years ago matches our records of the stellar exodus. After the resource wars, most of humanity retreated to the solar system to rebuild. We've only begun deep space exploration again in the last century. Zira's skin glowed brighter with interest. "So you did not die out. You simply went home." "Yes," Olivia confirmed. "Our civilization nearly destroyed itself. We needed time to recover, to develop better technology, to learn from our mistakes." Frank, still looking suspicious, asked, "What else do your stories say about humans? You seemed afraid when you first saw us." Zira's hair tentacles curled slightly in what might have been embarrassment. "The tales describe humans as unusually sturdy, able to keep fighting after injuries that would kill other species, capable of living in environments that would poison others. Some stories say you can even eat foods that would be toxic to most life forms." The humans exchanged glances. "Those are somewhat exaggerated," Maria said diplomatically. "But humans do have certain biological advantages. We evolved on a planet with variable conditions and many predators." "May I?" Maria held up a medical scanner. "With your permission, I'd like to learn more about Vexarian biology." Zira hesitated, then nodded. "If I may also learn about humans." As Maria scanned Zira, Diane asked more questions about Vexarian society. Zira explained that her people lived in large community groups, similar to extended families. They valued scientific knowledge above all else and had explored much of their local star cluster. "We are not very warlike," Zira said, "though we maintain defensive capabilities. After several bad encounters with other species, we became cautious." "That's understandable," Olivia replied. "Humanity learned similar lessons." Maria finished her scan and looked at the results with fascination. "Your biology is remarkable. 4 hearts, a respiratory system that can process multiple gas mixtures, and your skin actually converts light into supplemental energy." Zira seemed pleased. "And humans, what makes you special?" "We're actually quite simple compared to you," Maria explained. "But we're highly adaptable. Our bodies can repair significant damage, we can eat a wide variety of foods, and we can survive in environments ranging from very hot to very cold." "Just like the stories," Zira whispered. Alan Reyes, who had been quiet until now, looked up from his datapad with concern. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting a ship approaching at high speed. It's not matching any known signature in our database." Zira's glow dimmed suddenly. "What direction is it coming from?" When Alan showed her, Zira's entire body seemed to droop. "It's a Vexarian military vessel. Commander Dreth must have reported my unauthorized departure." "Is this a problem?" Olivia asked. "Yes," Zira said gravely. They won't believe humans exist. They'll think you're unknown hostiles who captured me. They're coming to rescue me and destroy you. Frank stood up immediately. Captain, we should raise shields and prepare defensive systems. Olivia held up her hand. Let's not jump to conclusions. Zira, can you communicate with them? Explain the situation. I can try, Zira said, but Commander Dreth has likely convinced them I'm under duress or being controlled somehow. The tension in the room was palpable. A peaceful first contact was about to become much more complicated. Captain Olivia Martinez quickly led her team back to the bridge. Zira followed, her forearms occasionally touching the walls of the corridor, as if to confirm the reality of her situation. On the main screen, a red dot moved steadily toward their position. Time until the Vexarian ship reaches us, Olivia asked. Approximately 43 minutes, Captain. Alan replied from his station. They're moving fast. Frank checked the weapons systems. Captain, recommend we move to yellow alert. We don't know their capabilities. Agreed. Yellow alert. Olivia turned to Zira. What kind of ship are we dealing with? Zira's skin had paled to a lighter shade of purple. It's a Defender-class vessel. Heavy shields, multiple energy weapons. Designed for military response. Can we outrun it? Asked Olivia. Diane shook her head after checking the engine status. Not likely, Captain. They're faster than us by about 15%. Olivia rubbed her chin, thinking. Then we talk to them. Zira, what's the best approach? I should speak to them, Zira said, but they may not believe me. In our culture, captors forcing cooperation is well documented. Then we need to prove you're acting freely, Olivia said. And we need to prove we're actually humans. They won't believe it, Zira insisted. Humans are myths to them. Commander Dreth will think I've been tricked or that I've gone mad. What if you return to your ship, suggested Diane. You could meet them halfway, away from us. Zira considered this. That might work, but my ship's power levels are dangerously low. We can recharge it, Olivia said. Sam, our chief engineer, can help with that. Sam Rodriguez was called to the bridge. A tall man with a friendly smile, he listened to the situation, then nodded confidently. I can get her ship powered up in 20 minutes. Won't be a full charge, but enough to reach the Vexarian vessel and return if needed. While Sam took Zira to work on her scout ship, Olivia gathered her senior officers. We need a backup plan, she said quietly. If they don't believe Zira and attack, what are our options? We could try to disable their engines, Frank suggested. Non-lethal, just enough to get away. The problem is proving we're human, Diane said. They think humans are myths. Wait. Her face brightened. Captain, what about the historical archives? We must have records from our previous contact with Vexarians. Olivia nodded. Good thinking. Access the deep archives. Search for anything related to Vexarian encounters. Diane worked quickly at her console. Found something. Records from the early exploration period, about 2,000 years ago. There are images, videos, even trade agreements. Perfect, Olivia said. Prepare it all to transmit. We'll send it if Zira's approach doesn't work. In the docking bay, Sam worked on Zira's scout ship while she watched anxiously. Your technology is different from ours, she observed. But you understand principles we thought only Vexarians knew. Sam smiled as he connected power cables. Different paths, same destination. That's what makes meeting new species so interesting. My people will be hard to convince, Zira said softly. They've believed humans were myths for generations. People believe what they're taught, Sam replied, adjusting a setting. Until something forces them to reconsider. On the bridge, Alan called out, Captain, the Vexarian ship is hailing us. The main screen flickered, showing a stern orange-skinned Vexarian with elaborate head tentacles. His forearms were crossed in what was clearly a hostile posture. Unknown vessel, he said through the translator. I am Admiral Voxtar of the Vexarian Defense Fleet. You have illegally captured Science Officer Zira Naxthal. Return her immediately or face destruction. Olivia stood tall. Admiral, I am Captain Olivia Martins of the U.S. Horizon. We have not captured Officer Naxthal. She came to us by choice and is free to leave at any time. Lies, the Admiral replied. Prepare to be boarded. The situation was deteriorating quickly. Zira needed to launch her scout ship now, or peaceful contact might be lost forever. Zira's scout ship shot out from the Horizon's docking bay. Sam had done excellent work. The power levels were higher than before, the systems running smoothly. She guided her small craft directly between the massive Vexarian warship and the human vessel. Admiral Voxtar. This is Science Officer Zira Naxthal, she transmitted. Please cease hostile actions. The humans have not captured me. I came to them willingly. The Admiral's voice was cold. Officer Naxthal, return to our ship immediately. You are clearly under duress or mental manipulation. I am not, Zira insisted. Sir, the stories were true. These are humans. The species from our ancient records. Impossible, Voxtar replied. Humans are myths. These are unknown hostiles using forbidden mind control technology. Your judgment is compromised. On the bridge of the Horizon, Olivia watched the exchange with growing concern. Alan, can you patch me into their conversation? Yes, Captain. Admiral Voxtar, Olivia said calmly. I understand your skepticism. We had no records of Vexarians until today either. But we've discovered historical files that prove our species met before. More deception, the Admiral snapped. Our weapons are locked on your vessel. Surrender now. Diane moved quickly to Olivia's side. Captain, I've prepared the historical records for transmission, including visual confirmation that matches their myths. Olivia nodded. Send everything. A massive data package streamed from the Horizon to both Zira's scout ship and the Vexarian warship. It contained images, videos, and documents from Earth's archives, all showing humans and Vexarians meeting peacefully 2,000 years earlier. In her small ship, Zira watched the files with wonder. There were her ancestors, just as described in her grandmother's stories, meeting with humans on what appeared to be a space station, trading goods, sharing knowledge, even celebrating together. Admiral, she said, her voice stronger now, look at the files. The clothing, the ceremonial markings, they match our ancient records perfectly. No alien species could fake these details. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. Then, these could be fabricated. Advanced technology could create such images. Sam Rodriguez had been working quietly at his engineering station. Now he spoke up. Captain, I found something else in the archives. Permission to transmit. What is it? Olivia asked. A greeting in the ancient Vexarian formal dialect. According to our records, it was used only for sacred ceremonies. If their culture hasn't changed too much, do it, Olivia ordered. A new transmission went out from the Horizon. The bridge speakers produced a series of complex musical tones and clicks that the translator didn't convert. Instead, they played in their original form. On the Vexarian warship, Admiral Voxtar's eyes widened. His orange skin paled visibly. The greeting was one used only by high priests during the most sacred ceremonies. It had not been used in public for over 1,000 years. No alien could know it. Where did you learn this? He demanded. From our shared history, Olivia replied. 2,000 years ago, your people taught it to ours as a sign of highest respect. We preserved it, just as we preserved the memory of your species. Zira's voice came through excitedly. Admiral, the ancient texts speak of a departure ceremony when humans left our space. This must be part of it. The tension was broken by a new voice, an elderly Vexarian who had stepped into view beside Admiral Voxtar. I am High Scholar Krentu, the elderly Vexarian said. What you have transmitted is indeed our sacred greeting. No outsider could know it unless. He paused, his voice filled with wonder. Unless the legends were true. The weapons lock on the horizon disengage. Admiral Voxtar still looked suspicious, but he was no longer threatening immediate attack. Perhaps, he said reluctantly, we should discuss this further. Captain Martinez, we request permission to send a delegation to your vessel. Olivia smiled with relief. Permission granted, Admiral. We look forward to meeting you properly. As Zira guided her scout ship back to the horizon, she felt a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, and pride that she had been right all along. The myths were real, and she had found them. The large conference room of the U.S. Horizon had been quickly converted for an important meeting. The human crew sat on one side of the table, while the Vexarian delegation sat on the other. Captain Olivia Martinez faced Admiral Voxtar across the polished surface. Thank you for agreeing to this peaceful discussion, Olivia said. The translator conveyed her words in musical Vexarian tones. Admiral Voxtar's orange skin had darkened slightly, showing his continued caution. We are still not fully convinced, but the evidence is compelling. High Scholar Krentu, the elderly Vexarian who had recognized the sacred greeting, leaned forward. His pale blue skin wrinkled around his eyes as he studied the humans. I have spent my life studying our ancient texts, he said. Many passages describe beings like you, but most scholars dismissed them as symbolic stories, not literal history. Zira sat between the two groups, her violet skin glowing with excitement. She had been officially appointed as liaison between humans and Vexarians due to her already established rapport with the Horizon's crew. Why were the records of humans changed from history to myth? Asked Diane, who had been reviewing more of Earth's historical data about Vexarians. Krentu exchanged glances with Admiral Voxtar, who nodded slightly. The High Scholar sighed, a whistling sound through his narrow nostrils. After humans left our region of space, there was fear, he explained. Your species had shown remarkable abilities, adapting to environments that poisoned others, surviving injuries that would kill a Vexarian, creating technologies that progressed at alarming rates. Some leaders feared that if our people knew such a species existed, there would be constant worry about your return. So they deliberately turned us into myths, Frank said, understanding now. Yes, Krentu admitted. Over generations, the deception became so complete that even those in power believed humans were just stories. Captain Martinez looked troubled. That's why our records mention trading and cultural exchanges, while yours speak of dangerous mythical beings. Not all the stories portrayed humans as threats, Zira interjected. My grandmother told tales of human bravery and friendship too. Sam Rodriguez, who had been quiet during most of the meeting, spoke up. So what happens now? Do we just say hello and go our separate ways again? Admiral Voxtar straightened in his seat. That would be unwise. Now that we know humans are real and have returned to this region, we must establish formal relations. I agree, said Olivia. Earth would welcome diplomatic ties with the Vexarian people. The meeting continued for several hours as they discussed details. The humans would send a small delegation to the Vexarian homeworld, while a Vexarian team would be invited to visit Earth. Trade agreements would be considered, and scientific knowledge would be shared. Later, when most of the others had left, Zira stood at the observation window with Diane, watching the stars. The Vexarian ship floated nearby, its purple lights blinking in patterns that signaled peaceful intent. What will happen to you? Diane asked. Will you be punished for stealing the scout ship? Zira's skin glowed with amusement. My punishment has been determined. I am to serve as official liaison to humans for the next 5 years. Apparently, stealing the ship is overlooked when you discover a mythical species. Diane laughed. So you got exactly what you wanted. Not exactly, Zira said. I wanted to prove my grandmother's stories were true. I never imagined I would become part of a new story that will be told for generations. Captain Martinez joined them, looking out at the vast space before them. We're sending a message to Earth tonight. Imagine their surprise when they learn we found a species that already knows about us. Two civilizations rediscovering each other, Zira said. Perhaps that is a better story than any myth. As the two ships prepared to travel together toward Vexarian space, Zira thought about how quickly everything had changed. Just days ago, she was a lonely science officer monitoring empty space. Now she was at the center of a historic reunion between species. Sometimes, she realized, the most important discoveries happened when you were brave enough to pursue what everyone else dismissed as myths.